We're gathered here to commemorate some atrocities that have been committed against our nation throughout history. We have some dignitaries and some of the community leaders here to represent as well. And the first message that we're going to have today is going to be from the president of the Kurdish House. Chatawani just came back from Kurdistan, where he personally delivered over 45,000 pounds of food and needed clothing for. Thank you, sir. And he's been a good friend and a founder of the Kurdish House, one of the founding fathers of the Kurdish House. Great community leader. Help me welcome Chatawani with the first message, please. Please come on up, sir.
Thank you very much, Arif. Arif is a good colleague. He put lots of responsibilities on my shoulder. I hope I could fulfill with that. I would like to start my speech with appreciation and thank you to Township of Ajax for giving us this opportunity to introduce one of the worst crimes happened to our nation, what we call it the Holocaust of Kurdish nation. Anfal is a genocide campaign against our people, started in 1987 by Iraqi state under Saddam Hussein's regime, leaving 182,000 victims, got killed by all kind of military equipments, including chemical weapons. Most of the victims are women, children, and elderly people. This campaign, this genocide campaign, is part of a larger campaign by Iraqi state since started in 1920. What we call it ethnic cleansing campaign against Kurdish nation. Iraq have killed and committed crimes against Kurdish people throughout so many regimes and governments. Just because we are Kurds and we would like to have our cultural rights, our existing as human beings. In 2010, we were grateful to the House of Commons in Canada recognizing Halabja, which is part of Anfal. Halabja chemical crime or crime against humanity was recognized in 2010 by the efforts of the Greater Toronto Kurdish House and some MPs, including former MP Jim Karajanis, that helped us a lot in bringing that case to this country and be recognized officially by the House of Commons as a crime against humanity. As Kurdish people, why we would like to highlight these kind of atrocity or crimes or genocide that's happening against our people? It is because we don't want it to happen to any other nations, and we don't want it to happen never ever again. But unfortunately, it's happening again and again and again in Kurdistan and in so many other places in the world. Therefore, we have to bring these kind of cases to the attention of our government, our local government, our provincial government, our federal government, to help to spread the word around for these kind of crimes don't take place in anywhere in the world. As Kurdish nations, we are peaceful and friends with all other peaceful nations, and we extend our brothers and friendship hands to all of them, and we wish these kind of atrocities never happen to anybody. We are calling on Canadian government, Canadian House of Commons, to recognize Anfal as a genocide officially, in order to highlight it, in order not to let this kind of atrocity happen again. We are working with some MPs, we are working with government officials to make this happen. Hopefully that will happen one day. There's nothing much I can say, and I would like to thank again the Township of Ajax for giving us this opportunity. We wish our victims, our martyrs, rest in peace, and their families to be in more comfort. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And so why, just on a lighter sense of thing, yesterday I go out in this outfit in the city and 3 people asked me, where's that dress from? And one said, this is from Spain, another one said from Saudi. Let me answer that in a kind of a lighter way. And it said that when Noah was in the ark and had all of the people and the animals that he had to gather to put in the ark, and the storm was finished, he prayed to God. He says, God, please put me in the most beautiful place on the planet. And that is where we're all from. It's Mount Judy between Turkey, Iran, and Iraq. And today we have the honor of having Marilyn Crawford, the deputy mayor and the city councilor, to help us commemorate all the genocides that have been done against the Kurdish people. Help me welcome Ms. Crawford. Please come on up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning. This is not necessarily a celebration, is it? It is about recognizing. Sorry, my bad. I should recognize first that my councillor friend here, Rob Tyler Moran, has joined us, and our mayor gives his regrets he couldn't be here today. I just wanted to, on behalf of Ajax Council, would like to recognize and welcome Jeremy Bremer, right, from the Greater Toronto Kurdish House, and his colleagues who helped to bring this ceremony together. Thank you. And I think your point was well taken, that we need to continue to bring this to the attention. These genocides that are happening over and over again, doesn't seem to matter how many times it's brought to light. There is still evil in the world, and there are power-hungry people that want to continue to take power over others, and that's wrong on every level. So you're absolutely right that we need to continue to bring this to the forefront of our provincial and our federal governments. And today I hope that this is a way that we can do that by we have I think it's a proclamation. I haven't actually read it yet. So I just want to take the time. Would you like to have the president come up?
Come on up.
Come on up. Anybody who wants to come up or you think needs to come up? I like your outfit too.
I would like the ladies to be with us.
And this is from the Corporation of the Town of Ajax. We hereby honor the lives of those lost in the Anfal genocide on April 24th, 2023, presented on behalf of myself and Ajax Council. Raise a flag for you today.
So thank you very much. With that, she will help us to raise the Kurdish flag in respect to the genocides that have been committed against the Kurdish people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Woo! Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We appreciate your presence. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. No, I have one of our Kurdish colleagues who's also. Yes, come on in. Hold on. I have a very unique Kurdish band, if you will. Kurds have been spread out and separated throughout history, exiled, some of them, and Ms. Pahlavi here is one of the original Kurds that was the frontier lines of defending, again, under the flag of fire all the time, and she is today as well. But quite a testimony of survival from the genocide that committed against the Kurdish people in Iraq, and also after they fled to Iran and what happened to them. So please help me welcome Ms. Pahlavi.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming here and being a part of this. I know it's very hard to come on a Monday, so I really appreciate it. It feels like genocide being recognized is one of the most important parts, because the people committing it rely on the denial of the genocide, because they don't want to be held responsible in any way and brought to justice. And also preventing it from happening. The key here is to recognize in order to be able to prevent it from happening again. I am a Pahlavi Kurd, known as the Faili Kurds in Iraq, because as you probably know, in the Arabic language, there's no word P, so they pronounce it Fe. So Arabs known us as Faili Kurds for centuries, and since they came to Iraq, we were there before them, going back 3,000 years before Christ. The Pahlavi Kurds were commuting between Iran and Iraq as nomadic people who settled down in 35 kilometers away from Baghdad city now, which used to be called Tisfun, as the Sassanid Empire, who were also Pahlavi Kurds, named it and built that city. The Arabs came with the religious Islam, and they came to Iraq, and they built Baghdad, which is also a Pahlavi word for Baghdad, which means the God-given forest or like a park kind of thing. But what I want to talk about is how and why what they did to us as far as the Pahlavi Kurds go in Iraq and their story. Initially, before the Ottoman Empire, we didn't have a country, as you know, for example, Iraq and Iran being separated from that part of the world. It was part of Iran. And then with the division of the Ottoman Empire, the Pahlavi Kurds got divided in two, literally. Part of them living in Iran, in Elam, the ancient city of Elam, and that's where origin is, and the village named Pahle. And then the other part being in Iraq, all the way to Baghdad. Unfortunately, with Saddam Hussein and the Ba'ath Party, the nationalist Arab movement coming to power, they saw the Pahlavi Kurds as an obstacle because they could not recruit them for their purposes. The Pahlavi Kurds were the upper class and the upper middle class of Baghdad for many centuries, and they had full control of Iraqi businesses and import-export, anything to Baghdad, to the point that they even provided military with their food. So when Ba'ath regime came to power, they tried to recruit these Kurds, but they refused to be a part of it. So then there was an animosity building up for many years. In 1973, the first wave of Pahlavi Kurds were exiled from Iraq. And then in 1979 and 80s, they started to mass execute and exile them. I will give you an example. My great uncle and his cousin, my aunt's husband, were all invited to the palace to meet with Saddam to discuss business. They weren't alone. There was about 100 to 200 people that night. As their driver waited in the front of the castle, they exited them through the back doors into military trucks and sent them that night without them knowing what was happening. They sent them to the Iranian border and exiled them. They accused them of being spies of Iran and Iranian and all sorts of other things that they could label them with. They also used a verse from Quran. The name Anfal for the genocide that they committed comes from a verse from Quran that tells them to divide the spoils of war and how to divide it, and who it's supposed to belong to, which is to God and Muhammad, his prophet. And Saddam Hussein saw it as his duty to take all their wealth, whatever they had, and their lives, and divide it between himself and his friends and Ba'ath Party people who were, they're backing them up. So they sent these people to Iran, and the following day, when my mother and myself, which I was 8 months old, and my brother, which was a year and a half, she went to my aunt's house to console her for her husband being lost, and we didn't know what happened to them. So they hadn't told anyone what had happened to all these businessmen that went missing. So my aunt was livid, didn't know what to do, who to call, so my mother goes over to console her. And then all of a sudden, another truck shows up, and they ask them, who are you and who are you? And as soon as they find out they are Faili Pahlavi Kurds, they literally shove them in these military trucks as they were standing there, little kids without parents or adults without their spouses knowing where they're going, like my mother. My father was at work. He had no idea what happened to us. They put us in a truck and they sent us to the Iranian border. At this time, my aunt had 3 daughters who were very young. So they were very afraid from the stories that they had heard about rape and murder, what will happen to these beautiful young girls. So they tried to dirty themselves up as much as they could in the back of these trucks, so no one would find them pretty enough to take. And they hid them behind some old ladies and children. My aunt told my mother, please, you do the deed if you see my daughters being taken, because I cannot. I'm sorry. So then they left these people at the border of Iran and Iraq, and it took them a few days to get to the other side, as they had no idea where they were heading. They did not know the language. Most of them didn't speak Farsi. They only spoke Kurdish and Arabic because they had spent their lifetime in Iraq, went to school, they worked there, they were integrated part of the society there. So they got to the other side, and they ended up in some shelters and tents that the Iranian people provided for them. But meanwhile, the rest of the family didn't know where these people went, nor did they know that the rest of the family that they had taken the night before, where they ended up either. They didn't know if they were alive. In the midst of all this, I had an uncle that was 14 years old. Any boy between the ages of 11, which is not much older than my son right now, I just can't fathom what it might have been like, because I was a baby, so I don't really remember, but I can only, as a mother myself, I can only imagine taking away your 11-year-old son. Up until 45 years old, I believe, the men were taken and never to be seen again. My uncle was taken, but he got lucky because he got freed halfway through being taken, and then it took him 3 months to meet up with his family in Iran. But my father didn't, pardon? Okay, no problem. So, in any way, what I wanted to say most importantly is this genocide happened, and the fact that many people deny it, many governments deny it. The Iraqi government actually recognized this genocide when it happened, but after the Saddam Hussein was removed from power, the Iraqi government recognized this genocide that happened. But the problem is, this continues. Today, as I speak to you, and we're raising the flag and tapping ourselves on the back and saying we're recognizing this genocide literally is happening now against the Izadi Kurds, against the Pahlavi Kurds who chose to return to Iraq. Even though all their belongings were taken from them, their citizenship stripped from their citizenship, but they decided to go back because they felt a sense of belonging there. as their ancestors had lived there. But this continues, this discrimination against Kurds and treating them like an outsider continues today. I just want to say thank you so much to all of you for coming and recognizing us. I feel so proud. I live in Ajax, and I feel so proud today as a Canadian Kurd for my country to be so respectful, so inclusive, to allow us to recognize and speak out loud about what happened and perhaps get some healing going on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In short, there's a misconception about politics in Middle East. The Muslim rulers have lost their way. There's no way this was the Islam that brought equality and everything else to the region and to the world. And we want to have a Canadian model copied and brought back to our people. So I work with the universities there, educating the graduate, from the master's degree there to about Canadian standards. What can we do to implement some simple rules that we have learned here? So I appreciate that. We also have now, Jeremy's going to come up and read the message from one of the MPPs that couldn't be here. Help me welcome Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy, for putting all of this together. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible so everybody can get home, get a cup of tea, and get warm. I want to thank, first of all, Councillor Crawford and Councillor Talamorin for coming and joining us today. Appreciate them being here. I have two brief messages from a pair of MPPs. First of all, we have MPP Patrice Barnes, Member of Provincial Parliament for Ajax. It reads as follows. Once I find it, I'll be able to read it. There we go. Greetings and warmest wishes to all those gathered here today for this Kurdish flag-raising event. I wish I could be with you all today, but I send my wishes from the Legislative Building. It is an honor to join you in celebrating the rich cultural heritage and national identity of the Kurdish people. As we raise the flag high, let us remember the sacrifices and struggles of those who have fought for the rights and freedoms of the Kurdish community. Thank you again for allowing me to join you today in spirit and celebrate this momentous occasion with you. Sincerely, MPP Patrice Barnes. And I have a further message. This is from MPP Aris Babikian. He's the MPP for Scarborough Agincourt. I would like to express my warmest wishes to the Greater Toronto Kurdish House for organizing the ceremonial raising of the Kurdish flag. As Ontarians, we recognize that our cultural diversity plays an important role in shaping the future and in promoting the prosperity of this great province. This important flag-raising ceremony reminds us of the important contribution of the Kurdish community to Ontario and Canada. The Kurdish community is an integral part of our society, and the economic, social, and cultural contributions enhance our multicultural mosaic and make Canada one of the best places to live, work, and raise families. The Kurdish community in the Middle East suffered immense injustice and persecution. The strong will and perseverance of the Kurdish people to overcome the various challenges they faced is something to be proud of. As the MPP for Scarborough Agincourt in Ontario, I share the pain and suffering of the Kurdish community, and I pledge my support to the Kurdish community of Ontario in their attempt to build a prosperous community. I applaud the board of the Greater Toronto Kurdish House for their dedicated efforts in organizing this ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, friends. And there's a famous Kurdish proverb that I like to quote and end with that says, Kurds have no friends but mountains. But here we are making friends all over Canada. The Canadian government supporting and helping us, and we are reaching out to the regions that are most impacted with the efforts that Chateau put forward to sending food, whatever we can do, humanitarian cases. But we also are building a community right here in Toronto, and the Kurdish House has programs till the end of this year to have educational programs. Whether you come here, many of our colleagues come here and they're very educated and certified in their country, start driving a taxi or doing other things because they don't know the systems in Canada. So we're putting plans together to help speed up the education system for our community here and all other communities. Thank you very much for coming out today. And is there any message that? Oh yes, we have the Kurdish message from our brother. I thought he went first, but we forgot about him. So our Kurdish message, because a lot of Kurdish media are covering this. They're watching you and as a government official from Canada. So help me welcome Kak Suleiman. Come on up, please. Your message goes last and it's best. Let's go.
هاونیشتمانیانی هێژا کوردستانیانی عزیز ئەمڕۆ 24 نیسانی 2023 بۆ بەرزڕاگرتنی یادی قوربانیانی شاڵاوی ئەنفال ئاڵای پیرۆزی کوردستان لەسەر بینای شارەوانی شارۆچکەی ئەیجاکس ئوستانی ئەنتاریۆی کەنەدا هەڵدەکەین. 35 ساڵ لەمەوبەر ڕژیمی باسی عێراق و سەرۆکە دیکتاتۆرەکەی سەدام حوسێن بە مەبەستی پاکتاوی نەژادی و لە نێوبردننی بە تەواوی گەلی کورد لە باشووری کوردستان شاڵاوێکی فراوانی قڕکردن لەژێر ناوی ئەنفالیان دەست پێ کرد. شاڵاوی ئەنفال بەشێک بوو لە پاکتاوی نەژادی کورد هەر لەو کاتەوە کە دەوڵەتی عێراق لەسەر کلااوەکانی ئیمپراتۆریەتی عوسمانی دامەزرێنرا. زیندە بە چاڵکردن، هێرشی سەربازی، وێرانکردنی شار و گوند، ڕاگواستنی زۆرە ملی، بە عەرەبکردن و تێکدانی ژینگە بەشێک بوون لەو پرۆژەی پاکتاوکردنە. لەم زنجیرە شاڵاوەدا زیاتر لە 182,000 مرۆڤی بێتاوان بوونە قوربانی و 4500 گوند و شار و شارۆچکە وێران کران و دانیشتوانەکانیان یا کوژران یا بە وەردوگای زۆرەملی گوازرانەوە. باس کە پلانی بۆ لە ناوبردننی یەکجارینەوەی کورد لە باشووری کوردستان داڕشت بوو خۆی ڕووخا وە کورد هەرما. جارێکی دی منداڵان لە قوتابخانەکانی کوردستان سرودی نەتەوایەتی ئەیڕەقی بیان خوێندەوە. ئەیڕەقی هەرماوە قەومی کورد زمان نایشتێنێ دانەی تۆپی زەمان. جێگای ئاماژەیە تا ئێستا وڵاتەکانی سوێد، نۆروێژ و بەریتانیا بە فەرمی کۆمەڵکوژی ئەنفالیان بە جێنۆساید ناساندووە. هیوادارین کە بە هەوڵ و هیممەتی هاوڕێیانمان لە ماڵی کورد و دۆستانی دیکە حکوومەتی کەنەداش ئەو ئەرکە واستۆ بگرێ و جێنۆسایدی ئەنفال بەڕسمی بناسێ. ئەوەی داخە بەڵام دوای ڕوخانی ڕێژیمی سەدامیش گەلی کورد لە باشوور چەندین جار کەوتەوە بەرهێرشی حەشدی شعبی و هێزەکانی تری سەر بە حکوومەتی عێراق. سیاسەتی داگیرکاری و بە عەرەبکردن هەروە درێژەی هەبووە و هێشتا حکوومەتی عێراق قەرەبووی زیان لێکەوتوان و پاشماوەکانی ئەنفالی نەکردووە. ئێمە لێرەین تا بڵین لەو ڕۆژەدا ڕادەگەێنین کە هەرگیز جێنۆسایدی ئەنفال لەبیر ناکەین. یادی ئەنفال و هەموو ئەو پەلامار و دەستدرێژیانەی لە 100 ساڵی ڕابردوودا بۆ سەرنیشتمان و گەلەکەمان کراون دەبێ ببنە هەوێنی یەکگرتوویی و سووربوونمان بۆ گەیشتن بە مافی ڕەوای ژیانی ئازاد لە نیشتمانێکی ئاوەدان و سربەخۆدا. جێخۆیەتی سوپاسی شارەوانی ئەیجاکس بکەین کە بۆ هێنانەدی ئەم دەستکەوتە مێژوویە هاوکارمان بوون. بەرز و بەڕێز بێ یادی قوربانیانی ئەلفال و هەموو شەهیدانی کوردستان. سوپاس بۆ هاتنتان. دەستەی بەڕێوەبەری ماڵی کورد لە تۆرۆنتۆ 24 نیسانی 2023 زایانی 4 گوڵانی 2723 کوردی. زۆر سوپاس.
Zor Spas. Thank you, everyone. And we gathered here because we had a dream that perhaps one day our brothers and sisters back home will enjoy the same freedoms that we have here. So thank you for coming out, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Anything else that we need to? That's it.
Want to take a big picture?
Yes, let's please gather here. Everybody, take one group picture.